Joining us now is former ambassador to NATO during the Russian incursion in Ukraine in 2014, Doug Lute. Thank you for your time tonight, Ambassador. Sources tell ABC News the first 2 days have not gone as well as expected for the Russians, with the Ukrainians so far putting up fierce resistance. We heard from President Zelensky his concerns about Kyiv, but can the Ukrainians hold it together, in your opinion?
Well, the Ukrainians have been very bravely resisting this onslaught by Russian forces, which outnumber and produce much greater military capability than the Ukrainians. So there's a very brave resistance underway. But look, the reality of this is that the Russians will eventually, if they persist, overwhelm that resistance, and they have the capability to seize the capital, Kyiv.
And so many of those Ukrainian soldiers receiving weapons from the U.S. just a few weeks ago, learning the weapons and getting familiar with them before actually fighting with them, a very intense situation. But Ambassador, if the Russians were able to take the capital, how would that tip the scales in this war?
Well, first of all, I think it's clear that President Putin's objective here is regime change. And of course, one way to affect that is to seize the capital itself, either displace or seize or account for the President Zelensky Ukrainian regime, and then replace it with a puppet regime. And, you know, Lindsay, you mentioned the weaponry that's been deployed. Some of the Russian tanks that you see destroyed on these Ukrainian routes were killed by American anti-tank systems fired by Ukrainian soldiers. Some of the Russian aircraft down today undoubtedly were downed by American Stinger surface-to-air missiles. So our assistance to the Ukrainians is having an impact.
And walk us through the significance of the NATO response force being activated for the first time in Europe.
As you say, first time ever. And this force was created when I was at NATO headquarters after the 2014 incursion by Russia, which saw them seize the Crimea Peninsula, a sovereign part of Ukraine, and then also destabilize the eastern part of Ukraine, the so-called Donbas region, by way of Russian support to Ukrainian separatists. So in the wake of that, in 2014, NATO took some steps. It first of all deployed for the first time ever NATO combat forces on the eastern flank of the alliance, so in the Baltic states and Poland, for example. And then in the depth of the alliance, it created this NATO response force, put it on higher states of readiness, exercised it routinely, and now for the first time ever, it's been activated.
And as you watch the situation unfold closely, if you were still ambassador to NATO, what else would you be urging NATO to do right now?
Well, actually, I've been in touch with Ambassador Julie Smith, a friend who is now my successor at NATO, and I think Julie and the Biden administration have done quite a good job alongside NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg. Look, today's summit was an important step where all 30 allied leaders in a meeting chaired by the Secretary General came together and spoke with unity. Very important, they added to this meeting, they enriched this meeting by including two key Nordic state partners, so not members of NATO, but partners, Sweden and Finland. And then equally important, they brought the leadership of the European Union into the same summit meeting. So here you have NATO at 30, two key partners in the Nordic states, and the European Union all speaking with one voice. That's very important.
That unity definitely is. We can't forget the information, or let's say disinformation war in Russia also playing out. Any surprises on that front?
Look, the surprise for me is that we haven't seen more activity by Russia using cyber tactics, cyber techniques. You know, you would expect, for example, attacks on the Ukrainian electrical grid, which might help the Russian assault forces under certain circumstances. I'm surprised that we haven't seen that. It would also perhaps be it's a bit of a surprise that they haven't shut down some of the communication systems in Ukraine. So I'm a little surprised at that. They certainly have the capability to do that. I don't understand why they haven't done it yet.
We, of course, will be watching that situation hour by hour here at ABC. Ambassador, thank you so much for your time.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.